We wanted to start off the day. We are going to have an addition to our rule book moving forward in regulations, and Robin wanted to address that. We'll have hard copies of the rule as well. But why don't we kick off with our Vice President of Competition and Racing Development, Mr. Robin Pemberton.
Hey, morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. As we've demonstrated in our history that we're willing to react quickly to different incidents, and it's not just about NASCAR, but it's all of sports and motorsports that we take note in. So this morning we're formalizing one of the regulations of our at-track on our on-track situations. And we're putting a new rule in place in the rule book immediately this morning. And I'm going to read that directly off the bulletin that will go out later this morning to all of the teams. This is 916 on-track incident procedures. During an event, if a race car is involved in an on-track incident and or is stopped on or near the racing surface and unable to continue to make forward progress, unless extenuating circumstances and conditions exist with the race car, example, on fire or smoke in the cockpit, etc., the driver should take the following steps. Shut off electrical power, and if the driver is uninjured, lower the window net. Do not loosen, disconnect, or remove any driver personal safety equipment until directed to do so by safety personnel or a NASCAR official. After being directed to exit the race car, the driver should proceed either to the ambulance or other vehicle or as otherwise directed by safety personnel or NASCAR official. At no time should a driver, crew member, or members approach any portion of the racing surface or apron. At no time should a driver, crew member, or members approach another moving vehicle. All vehicles not involved in the incident or that are able to continue afterwards should slow down to a cautious speed as outlined in Section 10-4 Yellow Flag Rules. Use extreme care as they approach an incident scene and follow any direction given by safety personnel or NASCAR officials. Cars in line behind a safety car should not weave or otherwise stray from the line in the vicinity of an accident. And that is 9-16 on-track incident procedures. So I guess we'll take a couple questions, David.
We'll start with Pete, and then we'll go to Claire, and then over to Bob.
Robin, Pete Pistone, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio, MRN.com. Can you maybe walk us through the process of when you guys started to start thinking about doing this and then finally putting the rule in the book?
Well, really, we're just formalizing rules that have been there. It's reminders that take place during drivers' meetings to drivers about on-track incidents. So we're just formalizing this, and it was something that we worked on this week.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. There was some conversation it might be hard to enforce this. What would the enforcement be should somebody not follow this procedure?
This will be a behavioral type thing, and they'll be addressed according to each individual situation.
Go ahead, Bob.
Bob Hocker, Sporting News. Obviously, all the highlights from a lot of races show drivers walking out towards cars, making gestures, and throwing helmets and that kind of thing. Do you feel like you're losing any part of the show by instituting this rule?
This rule is really put in place for the safety of all of our competitors, and it's safety first right now.
A question from Wolfgang. Any other questions to follow him? Over to Jim Peltz after that.
Wolfgang Monser from Germany, Rennsport Press Agency. Robin, did you consult with other sanctioning bodies, or just this rule just apply for NASCAR, or you just made also contact maybe with other race series and make sure that maybe they have the same rules or similar rules?
No, we're really formalizing something that has been informal, but just an understanding over the years.
We'll go to Jim, then Marty, and back to Bob.
Jim Peltz of the LA Times. Robin, just for the record, this is a result of what happened last Saturday night?
You know, we through time, you have to recognize when you get a reminder or a tap on the shoulder of something that may need to be addressed. And this is one of those times where we look outside our sport and we look at other things, and we feel like it was time to address this.
Basically the same question, but I'll ask it anyway, Robin. What role did the Tony Stewart, Kevin Ward situation play in this decision by NASCAR?
It was one of those that was obviously everybody paid attention to, and it is on the heels of that.
Bob Parker, Sporting News. Robin, we were told you're the only person from NASCAR talking to us today, so I wanted to ask, have you talked to Tony? Do you have any sense of how he's doing, and what do you feel like the impact on the sport has been?
I have not personally talked to Tony, no.
Okay, any other questions? All right, David Scott and Zach Albert.
Robin, you said you were formalizing something that was informal before. Are there any other kind of, I don't know, rules out there that could be enforced now that, pending something else bad happening like this?
You tend to, if you look at the history of the sport, and I've been fortunate to be on both sides of it, things like this come up occasionally, and you just have to address them. So you can't speculate what's in front of us.
Robin, Zach Albert, NASCAR.com. In terms of the penalties that could potentially be assessed, would they be, in-race, mid-race penalties, or after the fact, after a review, or all those options potentially open?
Yeah, you can't speculate on that. It's a behavioral penalty, and we'll acknowledge it when it happens.
Okay, thank you very much for joining
Thank
us
you.
today. As you know, Stewart House Racing will be up at 10 a.m. this morning and will be filed by Kyle Larson. Thanks again. We'll have a busy day today. Appreciate you coming.